What's up, guys? Welcome to the Resellers Podcast with Chris, the Refinement. This podcast is about building our life around selling stuff. Today I have Shawn with me. You're a really interesting guy. I read all your posts on Facebook, and I think you're the perfect guy to talk to about building a life around selling things. So maybe you can start with what state you live in and tell us about your operation. How do you sell things?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. So I live in Indiana, Indianapolis, just south of the city. And really, I resell comics. Kind of short, simple way to say it. I started by just flipping stuff at conventions and selling my own collection. Started on eBay way back when, before groups was a thing on Facebook. Ancient history, right? Then I went from eBay to Facebook groups, and then Facebook Live started, and it changed everything. Once Facebook Live started, I was one of the first people to sell comics live on Facebook. It's very labor intensive. You got to have a lot of people there to write stickies and track orders and make spreadsheets and send invoices and get payments and ship orders. And then Whatnot came about. So now I have four or five channels now, I think, on Whatnot.
Wow.
Comics Elite Live, two separate channels, same name. And then we have cosplay, a cosplay channel we're getting built up. We have an artist spotlight we're getting built up. And Merc Publishing, one of the publishing companies I own, has a stream also. So there's a team of about 6 people, one manager, the rest are independent contractors.
Nice.
And they show up, sign up for their stream, go live, make their quota, ship it out, and do it again. We average about probably 3 to 4 shows a day.
Yep.
Depending on who's here, what channels are live. But yeah, it's done really well for us. We still do Facebook Live streaming. We still do all the other things too. We have a website. I have 3 separate Shopify stores. So things have really grown a lot since I started. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of what I do.
That's great. So do you focus like a certain amount for fixed price? Do you still sell on your website in Shopify? That's all fixed price, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all fixed price.
Do you like the mixture of fixed price and auction?
I do. I absolutely love the interaction I get from live selling, being able to interact with the buyers, with fans, being able to, give a deal, give a discount. Sometimes it goes the other way. If I only got one of something left, it goes for way more than stuff has in the past. So it gives me so much more freedom. I can build bundles. Just so much stuff. You can pivot during a sale depending on what people are looking for. How many times have you started a sale and you plan on doing one thing, next thing you know, you're doing something completely different because that's what the room wanted at the time, I
think that's right. I think for me, having both fixed price and auction gives you a lot of options, and you do have to go where the audience wants to go. So you said you have 1 manager and 5 streamers?
I do. I do. 1 manager, 5 streamers.
I have 5 streamers, 1 shipper.
Okay.
And no, I'm the manager currently, and all W-2.
Okay.
So it's interesting, right? There's different kinds of ways to do this, and I think that is cool. I was just thinking this morning, if I was all contractor, I think the operation would be a bit different. I wouldn't be able to control, but there's like pros and cons of both.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons of both. I mean, my manager is W-2. I have 30 some W-2 employees for the other businesses, and the streamers are contract. And there's a lot of laws behind the contract, 1099 guys. As long as you're not breaking any of those, or it's not a way around paying taxes. I'm very, very clear with everyone too. They're a younger crowd that work for me. I'm very clear with them. Hey, it's because you made $100. You did not make $100. You got to take, put 30% of that aside. You got to be disciplined. You got to save that money. I've also teach them how to make their, start your own business, start an LLC. You can deduct this, you can deduct that because you're a contractor, So some of them get it, some of them don't, but the opportunity's there.
So what is your goal with reselling? Is it to create jobs? Is it because you want to get your hands on more, like a wider array of things? What motivates you?
Yeah, I mean, people ask me that all the time, and it all boils down to, I think we all kind of share the same thing, and people are afraid to say it. I want to be rich.
Oh,
it's money, right?
People don't really say that though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call like I see it. Like I want to have a vacation house in Florida, and I want to. I don't want a Lambo. I already bought my Corvette, so I'm happy there. But I want to pay off my house. I do want to leave some generational wealth to other people, in my family that are, that leave behind. I've been very successful so far. I've been able to do things I never thought I could do. I bought my mom a house, and, I have my dream car. I'm happy with that. And my dream home, things are well, but, you always kind of want more, right? Like I now want to pay all this stuff off. Now that's really what motivates me. And I chose comics because I enjoy working with the artists and the creators, and I get to create now, which is really cool. And so I get to create the product that I'm then selling to myself to resell. So all the businesses really kind of touch each other. But yeah, the bottom line is I just like money, man.
So when you're buying goods, do you purely look at the value? Because I find your post really interesting because you sometimes talk about AI and different trends that are happening. And I think you're pretty good at determining whether the trend is more valuable to the customer or less valuable to the customer. And that's how you actually make money. It's just giving value to people. Otherwise, they don't come back, and you wouldn't be able to support 5 streams without a lot of repeat customers.
Yes, 100%. Depending what industry you're in or what you're selling, you have to establish yourself as an authority in that field.
Yep.
Right. And if I ramble, I apologize, but I preach to my sellers. There's 3 goals. You have to educate, you have to entertain, and then the sale will naturally happen if you're doing those first 2 things. Right. So if you're not entertaining, nobody's going to watch you. You have to educate them about the product that you're selling. Right. And then if you do that well, people will want to, they're there for a reason, right? They'll buy the product that you have. So once you get high enough in your industry, let's say you're selling makeup, right? Well, once you have your own brand and if you make your own makeup line, now you're affecting the industry as a whole. You're looking at what your peers are doing. Well, this person sells like this and this person sells like that. Do you want to do something that's going to disrupt that for the better, disrupt that for the worse? Or you could ruin your own industry. For a while, you could cause more harm than good. So, when you ask about AI and how do you determine, what kind of products to sell? Well, you have to identify those trends. You have to know your industry. You have to be an expert in your field because, it's super, winter's coming. So all the stores change over to Christmas stuff and you can't buy a pair of shorts anywhere, the cyclical, everything changes. So it's paying attention to your people, what's selling, what's not selling, and being able to pivot. That's important,
I think something that you sort of touched on is you're connected to all the other people in your industry, to your customers, to your staff, and anything that's artificial, it loses some of the connection. Mm-hmm. So and when you have one left of something, that perceived value goes up. If you drew it, the perceived value goes up. If you're the actual artist talking, the perceived value goes way up. So it seems like you're really sensitive to all these things because all 5 streams, I'm assuming, have different customers.
Yes, there's a huge varying fan base, and again, it's also about knowing and what types of, we can get into a whole seminar about this, right? Like the different types of buyers that you have. Some people want that last thing that's super rare and collectible. Yep. Some people could care less. They just want a thing because they like it. So it's knowing when to lean into those different aspects of what you're selling. Again, not to turn this into a sales seminar, but there's features and benefits, right?
Yeah.
I'm selling comics. there are no benefits. It's all features. It's all a feature. It's limited. It has this artist, this the story on the inside. The inside looks cool. It's limited to however many. It comes in a fancy case, protective case. It's all features. There's no benefit to your life from owning that. There's no benefit. Whereas if you're selling makeup, let's say, well, the benefit is you look prettier, right? So that's a benefit right there. What are the features? Well, it's got a fancy package and it's this and it's limited. The features help sell it, but the benefit's there. So it's knowing that market, right?
I was just reading one of your Facebook posts today, and I was going to ask you, how do you determine if are there comics that you buy because the story is good, but you can't really tell the value is there? But because as resellers, we're trying to find things that are valuable that other people do not know are valuable, ideally.
Yeah.
So can you see features that other resellers maybe miss? Is that something that helps you?
Yeah. There's a perfect formula in my industry anyway. You want a great story from a great writer with a hot artist with a great image. You can have all those things, but then they draw a picture and it sucks and nobody's going to want it. Or you can have a picture that's stunning and beautiful and nobody cares what's on the inside. No one's going to read it. I had tons of people, they're just cover buyers. They don't care about the story.
Wow, interesting.
But there's other people that want that key issue. First appearance of Punchline, a major new character in the DC universe. That's a key issue. That cover's boring. It's a dude standing there. It's a Joker standing on cover. It's the boringest cover ever. But it's a key issue because it has a key first appearance. So there are so many different aspects of comics, and like you said, it is about finding that thing. That's where the education part comes in, and the educate and entertain. I found this thing. Let me tell you what this is. This is why you want this, because it has this, it has that, it has this, it has that. Oh, I've never heard of that before. Now your credibility goes through the roof. Now people trust you, right? BLT, why do people buy? They believe you, they like you, they trust you, right? You're telling them something they didn't know. You're an authority in your field. They believe what you're saying. The like and trust kind of comes next, right?
Okay. So this is fantastic. So you've identified, let's say it's got a great cover, great artist, hot artist, everything is in place. But let's say you don't list it properly or you don't stream it properly and you don't get all the value out of it. Maybe you miss an important keyword that the audience would pay a lot more for, but you didn't know. So how do you learn which keywords to use? Because for comics, I imagine it's massive.
Yeah, it's trial and error. It's who you're trying to attract, right? Let's go with records, right? Are you selling vintage? There's a word, right? Now if your listing says, or the sale says vintage records, you're going to get all the crowd in there that wants vintage records. If someone goes in there for vintage and you're selling the latest Taylor Swift album, they're going to be like, where's the Beatles? Where's something from the 50s, right? Yep. So listing is so important because that tells your audience what it is, what you have, and you potentially could be losing thousands of dollars. I mean, the amount of money you can lose by not knowing what you have, it's ridiculous. Prepping for a sale, it can take hours to prep for a sale because you got to research what you have. They want to know the condition because they believe, like, and trust, right? They're not going to trust you if you send them something crappy. So yeah, that's a huge part of it, is listing properly, knowing those keywords. And again, it goes all the way back full circle to knowing your audience.
Yep.
If I keep using the keyword of vintage and I'm not making any sales, who am I marketing to? Who am I advertising to? What audience have I fostered and grown? If I've grown an audience that likes vintage albums and I keep selling modern albums, I just bought a modern collection.
Yep.
Why'd you buy a modern collection? You haven't been selling it for years. Now you got to make a whole new audience that you don't have.
You got to start over, basically.
Starting over, and in doing that, you could alienate your current audience.
That's right.
Because they're like, "Hey, man, I follow you because you got the best vintage albums." You haven't sold a vintage album in a month. They're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You have to be sensitive to. It's almost like staying in your lane. Is that why you decided to pick different channels?
I did. I did because, if I have a cosplay channel where we're going to have, girls dressed up in cosplay on there. Some people could give a crap less about that, man. They want to buy an old Hulk comic.
Yep.
Right? They don't want some random girl dressed up.
Yep.
They're like, what are you doing? They'll get in trouble watching anywhere. The wives will yell at them, right? What are you watching? But there's some people that they could care less about the old Hulk comic and they want to see a cover from a cosplay girl. They're fans. They follow them. So it's reaching out in different areas. It's all under the same umbrella, but you're reaching out in different areas, fostering different audiences.
So one of the biggest questions I have with you about your industry is condition. It seems like the same comic could be worth 100 times more in a different condition. So for you, do you have a specific checklist you go through with every book to give you an idea of how to grade it? And is that a big chunk of your business?
Well, you're absolutely correct. Condition is everything. Everything is condition. The comics have to be pristine, especially a new modern comic, which we mostly specialize in. It has to be flawless. No corner dings, no spine ticks, taking a piece of paper and fold it in half. If that was a comic, that's wrecked. I can't sell it anymore.
Wow.
So we have to, everything goes in a board and bag, instantly, Mylars, top loaders. We spend a lot of money on protective supplies for that product because they expect it to be pristine. And then as far as there isn't really a checklist. If we're going through a vintage collection, we're going to send those in for grading or something. I give it a once over. I look through it. If it's really beat up, I'll just sell it as it is. If it's really high quality, there's professional grading services, just like trading cards and comics. But like these books behind me, they'll encapsulate them and give it a professional grade on it. Yeah, grade is everything. You have to be aware of what, again, it comes with being an expert in your field, knowing what you're selling. It could take, if you're going to sell an old collection or whatever it is, you got to know what that is. You got to take the time to research it.
Is there a favorite type of stuff you like to sell, whether it's slabs or raw or modern or vintage?
Yeah, I think I like to sell the raw books more. The graded books are fun, but there's a very specific audience that likes those. They have a higher value to them also. So there's not as many people seek those out. I love selling, the $10 comic, I call it, that's just kind of the sweet spot. Most people could afford $10. If it's a really good image, they can spend $10 on it. I love it because I get to talk about the product. I get to make the sale, which is always a rush when you make the sale. And then what's even more satisfying for me is people forget about this, the service after the sale, right? I made the sale, ship it out, made the sale, ship it out. Well, how does that person feel when they open that package up? How do they feel? Right? Do they still have that good feeling from, oh man, that's right, I bought this, I love this? Or are they feeling like, oh, they just threw this crap in here, they didn't really care about this too much. I got my money, screw them. So all the way through the sale, that $10 sweet spot, I get to really satisfy people's want to buy a comic. They get a rush from buying it. I love shipping it out and getting the positive feedback from them saying it was packaged great. They gave me a free sticker. I love this place. Fantastic. That's everything from the beginning to end. That's so satisfying to be able to do that, right? You find a product, you discover it's awesome. You convince somebody else that it's awesome. They pay for it, make a little bit of money, and then they're happy with that purchase and they're going to come back. That's the most satisfying thing in the world to me.
I think that's exactly right. Even for a piece of clothing in my industry, $10 is anybody can afford that. If the style is right, they think the pattern is cool. If it arrives safely, they're happy. But if it arrives crumpled up, even if they really liked it, the experience is definitely dampered. Poor packaging really does hurt customer retention because does every one of your streams have regular buyers?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And with the streamers, they probably recognize those names and
they do. They even name their sales pop up with this person or late night with that person. They have their own friend following. I pop into sales sometimes and they're giving them crap and teasing each other and buying stuff. And we have our mods that show up in there and help us moderate the show a little bit. So yeah, the fans follow us for sure.
So the know, like, and trust part. What else are you guys doing to, you think, elevate the stream so people like to watch? Why do people want to watch your stream? Because there's always the argument of, I can't get people in my stream. How do you get people to go to your stream, and why did they come?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good question. I get asked that all the time. How do I get people to go into my stream?
Yep.
The first thing I'll tell people is, what else do you have besides a Whatnot channel? If all you have is a Whatnot channel, this isn't Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Yeah. Right. You got to have some other presence out there. Do you have a website that it doesn't have to be an e-commerce website, just a website for here's what we do. So give me your email address and you'll get a free code to get something free from your next stream. Yep. Right. Follow us here. And then, because you're gathering the most important thing, those email addresses of people who want your product so you can contact them. Then get an email list that you send out, advertise your show through email, give them something special email code for this show is right here. In your stream, talk about it. Hey, those of you who got the special email code, how do I get an email code? You got to go to our website, sign up for our email list, for our Whatnot, right? The same thing with social media. Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have, it's got to be a business page.
Yeah.
Who's on your friends list? Your friends, your mom, your cousins, your aunt, your friends from high school, right? Your buddy from down the street. They're going to get sick of seeing you advertise your stream all the time. Yeah. And honestly, they don't care. They don't care that you're going live, They're not going to show up. So have a Facebook business page, have an Instagram business page where you can then make posts regularly, target that. So how do you get people in your stream? You get people to your stream off of Whatnot from other channels to bring them to your stream.
Yep.
And then again, once you get them, it's about that. They got to educate, entertain, make the sale, service after the sale to keep that customer. Customer retention is everything.
I think that's right. I just talked to another Whatnot seller that they have an email list around 200,000, and they email only about 1,000 per people per show because they don't want to burn out their audience. And I find it really smart because also, the app is still kind of buggy. So they don't want to create massive shows. Massive shows are a lot of work. They just want that slow and steady every single week, new people, different people. And I think that's a good way too, because you don't need that many people for a successful stream. I think people are so worried about needing 200-300 people in a stream, and you really don't.
No. And if you do have that many people in there, those streams that have all those people, they're just doing giveaways.
Yeah.
So I'll give you goblins. No one's in there buying any money. We do giveaways, of course. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But they're few and far between.
Yep.
All of my followers are, of course, there's some that like the giveaways, but I always look at my stats compared to other people's stats. Not so much anymore, but when I was first getting started, I did.
Yep.
And people had tens of thousands of more followers in some cases than we did.
Yep.
But we had tens of thousands of more items sold than they did. So I'm looking at them and I'm like, I'm not impressed by your 30, 40K followers because you've only sold 20,000 items.
Yep.
We surpassed 100,000 items sold. I think we're the second comic seller to ever do it. And we did it in half the time the first guy did.
Yep.
Because we're selling product. We're not just giving stuff away. I hate I call them let's go sellers. All they do is they put something up and they jump up and down behind the camera. Let's go. Yep. And you're like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're really just screaming, let's go. Like,
that's it. That's all you've got. Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Like, where are we going?
I know. Well, and I like to show people that there's on eBay, there's room for 13 words in the title.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to use 13 words to describe the item if you can. And maybe it's $1 an item. Because the let's go sellers, sometimes they just get $2 every item, and that's all they've got. The only value is that they're excited. And I do feel like sales is a transfer of energy, but you've seen streams do really well, and the host has no personality, but all the knowledge,
Yeah.
all the features. You listen to people who are just regular people crushing it because they know everything about the product.
Yeah. Yeah. They're educating,
Yep.
and they're such an authority in their field. People respect them and they want to buy from them.
Yes.
They've made themselves mini celebrities, and they want to be able to tell people, yeah, I got this from Bob. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I follow him. They feel connected to you. That's a whole nother, again, man, we could do a whole online class about this kind of stuff, right?
Do you have anything in the background of the stream? Do you guys do back facing camera, or what does the setup look like?
It's mostly facing away from the seller. Yep. We have a pretty good, I have statues set up, and there's LED signs back there, and there's stuff to look at. We try to mix it up. I mean, it's almost always the same view, depending where they're streaming from. But I do like to mix it up sometimes.
Do you like sudden death?
I do. It has its uses. I like dollar starts.
Yeah.
I like sudden death, but again, you got to read the room.
Yes.
You know, you can't. I will never say all sudden death show. No way, man. Now I'm looped into that. I have to do all sudden deaths. You got to read the room. Sometimes, you know, if things are going for more than average, I'll do some sudden deaths, because it also depends on who's in the room. Know your sellers.
Yep.
You know, those last 1 second when it goes from 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. You're like, yes, there we go. You know, I don't want to sell for 3, but then it went 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12. Yes. You know, went up there last few seconds. So you got to use it. And again, I tell, you know, this as well. Don't start anything for less than what you're willing to take for it.
That's right.
If you're going to start something for $1, be prepared to sell that for $1. Be prepared to lose money, because your whatnot fees are going to get you. You're going to lose whatever it is by the time you ship it. I don't know where you're sourcing your product at if you can sell stuff for $1, but you know, be prepared for that to sell.
The only thing I think works for $1 is maybe stickers. Anything else, you can't make any money at $1. But let me ask you this: I think that customers can snip if you're scared.
Yeah.
If you start at $1, but you're totally confident, it will not end at $1.
Yeah.
But if you're scared, people don't want to bid either.
Yeah. If they're like, oh man, I don't want to do this, like, then don't. You know, then don't do it. Right. You're absolutely right, though. It's almost like some people I've seen, we've all done this. You see those shows that are just a train wreck on there, and you're like, I'm just going to sit here and watch this person crash and burn right now. Like,
they'll stay. Especially if they're like, man, it's so hard. Like, if you say it's so hard to get people in my stream, I'm not selling these items for enough. All of that rubs off on the people that are watching.
Yeah.
And I tell all my streamers, if someone gets a great deal, just say, good. I'm glad you got a great deal. Tell your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, great deal, man. Good for you, man. I'm so happy. I love when people get a great deal. Exactly. I'm so happy for you, because guess what? I buy shit too. I buy stuff too, right? Yeah. And I want to get a great deal. I'm happy for you for getting a great deal. You know,
I think those good deals are things that people screenshot. Those are things that people talk about. It gets the chat going. And so when you do a live stream, do you watch how many people are in and see if it's going up or down?
Sometimes, yeah. I pay more attention to what's selling. Well, how much are things selling for? Yep. Again, I really don't care if there's 400 people in the room or 4 people in the room. Yep. If those 4 people are competing for each other to buy something, I'm selling things for what I want to get it for, I'm more than happy with that 4 people on the stream.
I think so. I think Whatnot did some studies, and if you have 23 people in the stream, then it's pretty likely there'll be 2 or 3 people who show somewhat of an interest in the item. And if you do a good job, you should be able to get a decent price, even with just 23 people in the stream. And it doesn't take much to make it go up there, I think.
No, it really doesn't. And, you know, there's so many tricks. I see people try different things, like, you know, engage with the chat, you know, like, hey, what do you guys want to see? You know, I mean, it doesn't have to all be about buying either. Just, I'm looking for a new show to watch on Netflix. What are you guys watching? Yep. You know, but then of course, don't ask for don't ask for something and then not reply back to them. What are you guys watching? They give you answers. You don't even.
I mean, it's I try to train my staff as that's professional hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to be interesting. If you have this, all of our shows are the same time every week. So hopefully you are our customers Tuesday at 4:00. They come and they hang out with you for an hour because that's real. You follow influencers that you like. When they come out on Tuesday with new content, you watch it. Mm-hmm. That's how everything works, except for instead of TV shows, now it's literally people follow other people and they are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So if you can hang out, talk about your day, talk about their, like I always say, whatever happens in your personal life, if you want to share it, it helps the stream.
Yeah. No, everything you said, I couldn't agree with it more, man. That's so on point. It's so on point. People don't watch after we watch our shows that me and my wife watch together. I'm probably scrolling through YouTube or whatnot, because that's entertaining to me. I don't want to watch season 8 of something I don't care about,
It's interesting because I feel like more and more people are not mindlessly scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, you kind of get what you like, and then because even on Whatnot, they've kind of predicted what kind of streams I like already. I can there'll be a new stream that I like that I've never heard of before. So they're good at predicting that for the audiences. And I feel like everything like when I was on eBay, I was like, what does eBay want? When you're on Whatnot, what does Whatnot want? And I think that engagement, I don't mind when people pay for the sponsored thing. I think that's fine. If you're getting, everything matters. So anything you can do to get one more person in, then you just have to make it so they stay.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with paying for a sponsored, if they offer that. I mean, I don't think that's filtered down to the comic world yet. If they did, I would pay to sponsor literally every single one of my shows. I would bid sometimes for a sponsorship of like a key spot, Friday at 9.
Yeah.
Like there's only so many spots.
Yep.
Hey, highest bidder, I'll buy the next 20 Fridays in bulk or something, like
that's right.
Get an advertising agent and sell me that space,
Yeah. And I think but you're thinking about, you definitely are thinking about placement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want so what about thumbnails? How do you guys approach that?
Well, that's my biggest challenge is getting my staff to put a thumbnail up there.
Yeah.
On the separate window, I have 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at 7 scheduled shows, and 6 of them have the same thumbnail. So it's like, come on, man. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a good thumbnail, but as long as if you're communicating what you want to through your thumbnail, there's nothing wrong with that.
Do you have the person in it?
Sometimes I encourage them to if they want to, because people make that connection with somebody. But sometimes I'd rather see a product that I want to see. A person holding the product is always good too. Like look at this. Tomorrow at 7.
Yeah. I think person and product is the best.
Yeah.
And maybe person if you have a reputation. If you don't have a reputation yet, then product.
Yeah.
So person.
And again, it depends on what you're selling too.
Yeah.
Are you selling makeup? You better have a pretty girl with makeup on.
Yeah.
Or maybe show a palette or something or a brand.
Yep.
Look at some clothing lines. They're doing high-end clothing. They're going to put up a Louis Vuitton or something because you can get 300 people in that room just on that thumbnail alone.
Yep.
So it just depends on. And again, if you are bringing them in with the thumbnail, are you bait and switching them?
Right.
Or are you going to, are you selling vintage but selling modern?
Yeah.
Like I talked about. So.
I was talking to a streamer that gave away a Lamborghini on Whatnot. They found a really cheap one. They gave it away. And this is what they said. We gave away a Lamborghini on Whatnot, but Whatnot didn't work. And I was like, that's not really related. That's like one tiny thing. And like, if you advertise in 1 year, we're going to give away a Lamborghini and you milk that all year, it probably would work. I was just thinking like, I don't think it's Whatnot's problem that didn't work for you. That's a good giveaway. You just didn't use it it didn't pay off for you.
Well, yeah, that should be the means to an end, not the end.
That's not the end, right?
Yeah, like, Covey, begin with the 7 habits of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind.
Yep.
Right. So we're giving away a Lamborghini. Cool. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Why are you giving it away? What are you trying to get? Are you trying to get a bunch of followers to do what?
Yes.
Right? Or are you just giving away a Lamborghini? If you're giving away a Lamborghini, you hit your goal of giving away a Lamborghini. Good for you. Right. What else are you trying to do? Are you trying to sell something? You're not going to get people on that stream or on that channel to buy anything, because your advertising that channel is, we're giving away a Lamborghini,
Would you rather do a cheap start or give it away?
Again, it depends on what it is. I'd rather do a cheap start.
Yeah.
Because I'm at least going to get something. And then if that person buys it for cheap and they see, well, I'm paying for shipping already, might as well load up my cart.
Yep.
That works on me all the time. I'm a sucker for upsells.
Do you do combined shipping on your stream?
Yes.
How do you do a buyer pays max amount or by weight, or how do you approach it?
We usually go by weight.
So I just switched over to maximum because I was testing it. So I did 10 shows in a row with free shipping, and I wanted to see how much I was paying, and it ended up being like $8. So I put customers pay $8 max, and that worked out really well because customers they pay a lot more, and in the end I still only pay $8 as my average shipment, and that ended up working. And I think that the only thing I have not tried yet is I haven't tried the coupon. And I think the coupon works because if you give people free money, I think they spend more.
Yeah. Yeah. The coupon, we're playing with coupons more and they seem to be working. We tried free shipping. That works, of course.
Yeah.
We make more, but you got to pay for that shipping.
Yeah.
Our stats have panned out to where we average a little bit more with the free shipping shows, but not... I don't know if it's enough to justify continuing to do that. We still use it more as a gimmick. We try different things. We stream so often. We try to mix it up between, dollar starts, free shipping, mystery boxes.
Yep.
We'll do exclusive cover drops. Like we have an exclusive cover. There's only this many of it. We're selling it at this time on Friday. We do giveaways. PlayStation giveaways work really well for us. Every time we try something new, Whatnot kind of shuts us down, though. So, quick example: we used to do a giveaway where, okay, here's the giveaway. It's this. Everybody can win this.
Yep.
But if you bought something from us, you're going to win this, and you're going to win this PlayStation. Yeah. Well, Whatnot just said, can't do that anymore. It's like, come on, man. Like,
they ride the line of what's gambling and what's not gambling. But a common theme of what you just said is that nothing always works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I like that saying. Nothing always works. Two absolutes together that make sense. It's true. It's 100% true. Nothing always works. You got to be able to pivot. Like signs of a good seller is being able to pivot to mid-sale to something completely different because that's what people are asking for. That's what's selling. If I'm planning on selling all Hulk, for example, and somebody asks, and I got a huge pile of Hulk next to me, ready to go. I spent hours prepping it. And someone goes, hey, you got any Spider-Man? You could be, well, no, I don't, because you can't let your buyers run your sale either.
Yep.
Right. No, man, we don't have any Spider-Man. Oh, I love some Spider-Man. Oh, there's 2. Oh, man. Are you sure you don't have any Spider-Man? Well, there's 3 different people. Hold on, let me go see what I can find real quick. I'm gonna put this. Let me put a giveaway or something. Let me go find Spider-Man. And if that starts selling, holy crap, that blew up. And so did this one. Looks like we're doing a Spider-Man sale. Yep. Right. That's right. Got to be able to pivot, read the room.
Yeah, I have with my now we have 22 different shelves of inventory, and I'm gonna say and then each streamer gets 4. They get 4 racks of inventory. And so they can kind of try to read the room and stay within their 4. I would like it for anybody to be able to sell anybody's, but I haven't figured that part out yet because people get defensive about whatever I give them as their product. But the thing that's really helped me is varying the lot size. So like when I'm streaming, if I'm selling something and people like it, sometimes I'll say, this green one sold really well. What about a red one and a black one? And people are like, oh, wow, that's even better. We already like the green one, but a red one and a black one, that's even better. And sometimes I'll try to make it did well. I'll try to make it even better. And I'll do the same thing if it is bad. I'll be like, are you guys sure that is like, it seemed like kind of low, but I think that you guys did it. Like, you could run the same thing twice in a row and actually get more the second time. If you build up value the first time, it doesn't have to always go down. So I think reading the room, I think it's a skill of asking, then testing.
Yeah. There's a couple of things you said that was awesome in there. So we'll sell something back to back, no problem. But we tell them all the time, someone's like, hey, do you got another one of those? We do, but we got to start the bidding at what the last one sold for.
Sure.
So if the last one sold for 17, we're starting the bidding at $17. Because the last thing I want to do is start it lower, and then the guy that just bought it for 17 sees another one sell for 10, and he's going, well, I guess screw me too, right? Like, I'm gonna cancel this.
That's a really good point,
right? I got ripped off. So we always start at the same as the last one. We've done multiples. We've done 3 or 4 sometimes, cascading upwards.
Yep.
You got another one? Yeah, but it's got to start at 25.
Yep.
Do it. Okay. And it sells for 30. You're going, what's happening, man? Like, okay.
Exactly.
I mean, that's few and far between, but it's happened to us before. I mean, I gotta tell you, we could have a whole nother conversation about divvying up product for different employees to sell, because that's huge, man. You know, I don't know what you do, but you know, my team has a sales goal for the week, and then if they hit certain things, they get bonuses and other things like that. And you know, I don't want to create a system to where they're all fighting over the best stuff. And then the stuff that isn't as good just sits there and never sells.
That's right.
So yeah, they got to have that balance between. That's kind of what my manager does. Is he's like, okay, you get 3 fancy books. You know, remember the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, the old selling
good lead.
Yeah. You don't get the Glengarry leads, because giving to you is throwing them away, right? like you're gonna get 3 good ones, you'll get 3 good ones, and the rest you got to sell is the average stuff. And by the way, you got to try to sell these crappy ones too, right? And so there's a good mix, a good variety. And I even tell them, take some of the, like you said, bundles. Perfect, man. Perfect. Take this thing that you can't give away and mix it in with something that's semi-average. Now you have an above average bundle, right? Because some people, they want that thing, but they don't want to buy it individually. But if it comes in a bundle or a mystery box, they are tickle pink. They love it.
They love it. Yeah. And I think that for things that are mediocre, you need to use fun to sell it. It's just if you can bundle it so it's fun, or if it's an extra, like Whatnot doesn't like this either. But if you say, like, if it hits 20, you get this. It's 30, you get this. And then they just want to win, and sometimes they don't care what it is.
Sometimes that works for me on Facebook. I would do like a cascading, I almost call it like a build your own bundle type of thing where, okay, if it hits this, I'm going to add another book in. You know what? I lied. I'm adding 2 books in, you know, and I used to have those prepped off to the side. I'm okay. This is a $100 bundle. I'm going to start it at $1. And this is the max it's going to go in this bundle. Cause I would set that up for other employees too. So they knew not to go higher than, like, look, you can't put anything else in here. You got 10 items, right? Average of $10 per item. Start at $1. You know, again, be prepared to sell that one item for $1, but it gets people excited about it. Create a little bidding war, a little bit. But you got to do a longer auction too. You can't do a 30-second one because you don't have time to get all those in there. You know, that's when you need some of those let's go people. You know, sorry.
No, you're good.
That's when you need some of the let's go people, like, let's go, but it's another $5. I'm going to add this thing right here, guys, and then read the room.
Then
you know, I'm going to show it to you anyway. Here you go. If it's another $5, boom, there it is. That just got added. Right, that's the personality and entertainment and value and all that stuff. So, but nothing works all the time, right?
None of it works all the time. I think the manager's role really is to manage the inventory. to the different streamers, because that's essentially what I'm doing at work, making sure that it's not too heavy on one person. And I switched to hourly, no commission, to avoid the bad stuff never selling part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to sell all of it. Everything I put on your rack, you're going to get a mix. You got to sell all of it. And you got to bundle the regular stuff in with the better stuff. Now, here's one thing I find interesting, because when you're buying stock, that's going to be my next question for you. You're not getting perfect stuff. Buying is an imperfect thing. So I buy some items that are great, but they sell slowly. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is going to take me a year to sell.
Yeah.
Other things, they sell really fast, but that's not normal. Most of the stuff does not sell very fast, at least for me. Only like a quarter of it's going to move immediately. Everything else is a different pace.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's almost the like the credibility pieces, right? You kind of need that fancy big ticket item, 2 or 3 of them, because hey, number one, what if you get a whale that shows up and wants to buy it?
Yep.
Right. And number 2, establish credibility. I should own some key comic books. If I own a comic book store, oh man, you got a first X-Men? I sure do. Yep. Right. Oh no, I had one, but I sold it. People are like, oh, okay, so you should have some show me pieces.
You should have some cool pieces that really elevates you.
Yeah. Well, there's the famous story of Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, when he was wanting to get into the action figure world. He went out and bought, home run baseballs, $1 million on baseballs. He talks about it now, and he's like, I didn't give a crap about baseballs, but I had to get into this club of guys that had the contracts, and my way in was to get this big show me piece. I'm like, oh, this guy's legit, and then he got into that thing. So you got to have that kind of stuff. You got to have the big flex pieces.
Dude, that's really smart, because I feel like the suppliers are few and far between.
Yeah.
They only do business with who they want to do business with, and they don't need money. Mm-hmm. I feel like people kind of get confused and they say, I don't have a big budget, I can't work with suppliers. I don't think that's true, because they really just work with who they like. They sell to big or little.
Mm-hmm.
At least
you're right. And because nobody starts off big.
Nobody starts off big. Yeah.
No one starts off big. Everyone starts off as a small guy. You got to push through those 2-person streams when you feel like you're just talking to yourself and no one's in the room. You got to, because eventually those wholesale accounts will become bigger and bigger and bigger accounts. Yep. And the wholesalers know that. They know that I'm going to establish this relationship with this person. I'm going to give them some great product, and they're going to grow, and their account's going to grow with me. So they understand that. 100%.
How do you get your supply? Where does this stuff come from?
Oh man. So having a comic store, people bring collections into us all the time. Yep. So that's kind of a benefit of it, is sometimes they come to you. You don't have to go find them, right? But of course, we buy wholesale from major distributors, Lunar Distribution, Diamond Comics. So we buy regular weekly books, but there's not a lot of money in that. You're at a 50% discount, which is fine, but 50% discount, you're not going to grow exponentially with a 50% discount, especially when your operating costs are 20-30%.
Yep.
So I just kind of learned, how the sausage was made, and slowly started doing my own stuff. So now, it grew into, oh man, I'm going to make my own covers, because if I pay for the artist, I can make more money, because I can make my own comic book. Oh man, let's figure that out. Oh, now I can make several comics. So now I'm a publishing company. Well, now I have several publishing companies. Oh, but how do you print comics? How do you make a metal comic? How much do those things cost? So now we're to the point to where I can generate the comic book, writer, artist, inker, colorist, letterer, editor, whole 9 yards. I can make the comic, get covers for it, do a Kickstarter for it, or just sell it on the website, whatever I want to. And then those publishing companies then sell wholesale to my comic book company, and they also sell direct. So there's B2B in there, and then there's also directly to consumer also.
Man, there's so much good stuff in there. Because the key
It's a lot.
pricing for buying wholesale, where you buy for half off and try to sell for full price, which you can't. You can't sell all of them for full price, but you have to buy it at half. That, and if you have 20 to 30% operating costs, look at how little left you have to really discount the item. Because you'll see people like, I can't really discount it, and they really can't. There's nothing left to give. So when you're buying a collection, you don't buy 50% though.
No, not at all. And when you're buying a collection, I mean, it's just like anything else too. The more you buy, the cheaper of a deal you're going to get, the better deal you're going to get, right? So I've bought collections where you're paying 2 cents a comic sometimes, and then you can sell those for $1 because you know not on whatnot, or the fees are going to get you, but you could sell those for $1, $2, $3. You can make a bundle, 10 comics for $10. Now you've made a superior product because that bundle is higher. But when you buy collections like that, but it's risky. Sometimes you're not going to see every single thing in that collection. As you know, I'm sure you bought big clothing collections too. Like you don't see every single piece. You try to get a good feel for what's in there, but you can get burned. Like, oh, I didn't realize this whole box was covered in cat urine. I've had that happen to me a couple of times. It's like, I'm throwing all these away. This is disgusting, or eaten by rats or moths. I mean, the stuff you see is just, God, what did you do to this? Like, where did you find this at? But it's as long as as you grow more and more, you can't just say, okay, I spent $500 on this collection. I got to make 1,000, right? Because the goal is you buy that collection for 500, make your 500 back as fast as you can. Get to zero as quick as you can. Get back to zero. Then you're going to have product left over. You buy another collection or pallet or wherever you're buying, right? Get back to zero. Make your money back as soon as you can. Then you slowly build that inventory up. Now you're operating at zero debt. And I try to keep all my businesses operating at zero debt. The only thing I owe is labor for this week, rent coming up at the first of the month, and whatever I just bought that's being delivered on Thursday, right? That's it. So at any time I can say, fire sale, everything's on sale, and I'm not losing any money because I've made all that money back again.
That's right. I've only sold comic books one time in my life. I went to Salvation Army. They had 900 books for $900. And I thought, that seems like a lot for a thrift store, but let's look through these. So I'm looking through, and like the first 10 are from like the 50s and 60s. Looks amazing, right? So I'm like, okay, I think I can make my money back from just these first few ones. Let's do it. Because there's all these people that they brought it out and everybody was like, what is that? And they all came up and I was like, first in line. So I bought it. And when I went home, literally every other book was horrible.
Oh man.
And it was like, I broke even, and they basically priced it at the first 12 books. That's how they determined the value of the entire book, because someone looked through the whole box, obviously. But I think you're right, because you can't rely on selling the whole thing to get your money back. Too risky.
No, you can't. You got to be able to make that money back as soon as you can. I say get in and get out. You don't got to sell every single item in that lot that you bought. However, you sell enough to get back to zero, sell the big ticket items, don't discount and give it all away. You know what I'm saying? But don't operate to where like I have to sell this for $40 or else I don't have a business tomorrow. I mean, we've all been there when you're first starting, but anyway, that's a whole nother podcast conversation of how do I get started? How do I grow? What do I do? That kind of stuff.
I'm going to share my day in the life of my streamer, and then maybe you can share what your guys do. Sure. For us, it's 5 hours of creating interesting lots and then 3 hours of streaming. The reason why I picked that is I don't want them to burn out. My streamers work 5 days a week. So 5 hours, they've got to put together lots that will keep the customer engaged the whole time they're on for 3 hours. Staging. So they're staging and creating lots for 5 hours. And when they go on for 3 hours, they get to basically bounce around to what they think the customers are going to like and not like throughout the stream. And they have hundreds and hundreds of lots to pick from, but that's their day. And then originally I had all my streamers also ship, but since switching to, I just have one person ship everything. my streamers have been doing way better now that they don't ship.
Nice.
And they just like, maybe it's just, and they're a little bit diva, which is like, I think maybe people who are like that had the personalities, maybe they just burn out easier.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I have one person ships everything for the whole store.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And
same.
she's amazing. I mean, she's in her 70s. I mean, she's
wow.
Yeah, she's a machine. I mean, she's fantastic. I pay her very well, but she's worth every penny. So that sounds great. I mean, my guys are set up a little differently. So a shift is a 4-hour chunk of window.
Okay.
And they get paid for a shift. So for example, let's say you're going to stream, you're going to work 12 to 4. Well, you show up at 12, you got an hour of prep. Your stream goes from 1 to 3, and then an hour of post work of, sorting it out, printing the labels, making sure everything's clean and organized. Yep. And they bring it down to the shipping department. So it's a 4-hour chunk of time. And then depending on when they stream, it depends on how much they get for that chunk of time.
Oh.
An earlier sale during the day, when number one, everybody wants to work that stream, that's easy. That may pay $20 an hour.
Yep.
Whereas Friday from 11 at night to 3 in the morning, they could make up to $80, $90 an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then every stream has a quota they have to make. Yep. So I'm not too firm about the quota I am. Yeah. There's flexibility, but if someone's consistently grossly not hitting their quota, it's like, okay, look, like, what are you doing? At this point, you're costing me money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they do, how they do it. There's one person that's a little different. He's on just a weekly quota.
I see.
And then he gets a percentage of what he makes, and that's a sliding scale. So the more he makes, the more percentage he gets. All the way up to, I think, 15%, I think is the max of what he can make. I mean, he's making, I'll share some numbers. I don't care. His last 2 checks were close to $3,000 a week because he's crushing it. And I'm high-fiving him all the way. Good for you, man. And, I like that you said they're kind of divas too, because, but it's true. Like when you think about it, like the sellers,
yep.
Don't get me wrong, everybody's equally important. But at the same time, everybody's not equally important. You know what I mean?
Different.
And as a business owner, yep. Whoever's listening to this too, you have to understand that it's easier to replace somebody that can ship
yep.
than it is to replace a good personality that can sell live.
Yep.
Some of this is knowledgeable, passionate, not afraid to be on camera, yep. Isn't afraid of work. Those are rare qualities nowadays. You're a streamer, everybody thinks about somebody's, sitting on Twitch or something playing a video game. They don't realize there's, I mean, they used to have a community college course on being a streamer and how to sell. And, because I believe it's the future. It's just happening more and more and more.
Yeah. I think on that respect too, a streamer probably wouldn't be good at shipping. It's just a different personality trait. The shipper that I have never says anything. The person that I have listing on fixed price never says anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want the person that's super outgoing listing. That makes zero sense. They would hate that. So I think it's important to realize different personalities. And I think that in my shop, the shippers, they know they're a little bit less valuable to the company. Like it's not that they know they can be replaced easier, whereas the streamers know that it's harder to replace them.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, but it's difficult to communicate. No employee wants to hear, "Oh, you're not as important as this guy." It's like, I don't mean it like that. Like what I mean is, but these guys in any organization, aside from the CEO and the owner, the salesmen make the most money.
They do
because they're bringing in the most money.
Yeah.
Anytime I've had, that doesn't happen anymore, but I used to have some employees complain about how much the salespeople make. And I said, number one, is none of your business, right? number two, you can sell too. I'll train you.
Yeah.
I'll teach
you. Want to try, go for it.
Oh, that's not for me. then don't complain about it. Like, are you complaining that doctors make more than you?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Then why are you complaining about this person making more than you just because you see him every day? Like, it's a different skill set, like
skill set. Yeah. The skill set of being able to see what's valuable to the customer. It's not uncommon for the salespeople to make the same as the owner. As odd as that sounds, like the hourly rate for a lot of salespeople is $50 to $100 an hour. It's pretty common. If you're good at figuring out what the customer wants, that's the most valuable thing to the. Or I'm sorry, not more than the owner, but more than like the manager or more than the the general manager. Sometimes not making as much as the top salesperson.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to do sales training, and it's on that note, not to dwell on it too long, but there's many times where sales organizations make a mistake and they promote their top salesman to being a manager.
That's right.
And it's like, no, man.
Yep.
It's two different skill sets. Like you're taking this person that's making you a crap ton of money and removing them from that position, and now they're in charge of scheduling people or something else. Like, what are you doing? Keep that person selling. Hire a manager to manage and a seller to sell. Right.
A couple more questions for you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Sure.
Number one is, what do you feel like is a bottleneck for you, maybe going to the next level, and what is the next level for you from where you are at now?
Well, there's certain things we can never control, like the economy, right? People's spending habits. So since you can't control certain things, you have to control what you can't control. I know that sounds obvious, but sometimes it's not as obvious. You can control your cost. Well, what do you mean by that? You can control how much you pay per item. Well, I only have this many vendors. Then make your own product.
Yep.
Like, learn how to make your own product. Whatever it is, you can make anything out there. Go to AliExpress and look around on the website. You can order stuff from China, custom made. Your margins are going to be ridiculous.
Yep.
It takes that a little bit of initial investment, but for $1,000, you could have, all a bunch of one product to sell. Now your margins are through the roof. So you're controlling that by not paying 50% off or something. Now you're paying, not even 90% profit margin, right? You can also control how you grow, how fast you grow, and what direction you grow, right? So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like I mentioned earlier, well, this people sell on Whatnot. Fantastic. Where else are you selling? Are you trying other live streams? Are you trying eBay Live? Are you trying Facebook Live on your Facebook page? Are you tried Instagram? Have you tried other areas? Do you have an e-commerce website? Do you want an e-commerce website? Right? You should have a website. It can be a Shopify website that doesn't sell anything. That way it's easy to transition to selling when you do want to start selling stuff if you want to. Now you have multiple streams of income. So if one happens to crash, now you're not dead in the water because you have these other avenues of sales. So as far as bottlenecking goes, right, if all of my sales were just going through Whatnot,
I see.
To me, that's a bottleneck. Even though I have 5 channels and all these different sellers, it's still scary to me having everything in one area, because what happens who knows? Whatnot's privately owned. You never know. Crazier things have happened where, sites have gone down or some update comes out and crashes you for the day. And now you can't go live on Wednesday because they updated everything. I mean, weird stuff happens,
But for you don't really start something new until something's already going, it seems like.
Yes.
100%. I think that's important.
100%.
Like, you need to start a publishing company and Whatnot at the same time.
No way. I started very slow, literally just making a post on Facebook and trying to sell stuff on that post. And then when Facebook Live started, I was just on Facebook. And then I did it backwards. I had a Facebook Live sales for a year. I made over $1 million selling Facebook Live before I even had a website.
Wow.
Before I even had a website. I built that following up. And then when I did get a website, it was pretty easy to transition some of those guys over to a website. Now I have data on my target market. I had all the stuff I never had before.
Yep.
I have demographics. I have, age, sex, location, all the stuff that you need to be able to market to an industry because you know what your market looks like now. You know who's buying your stuff and where they live and everything else. Now you can start making targeted sales data, targeted ads, a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, but you don't, and again, we haven't stopped doing Facebook sales.
Yeah.
I hired somebody, trained them how to do that, and then we moved on to something else. And then do that well. I haven't a girl that does my eBay stuff. I don't even know what she does. She shows up, she makes me so much money on eBay every single week. I high five her and I see her the next day. Yeah. Like she's crushing it. She's completely independent. My store, the brick and mortar store, is ran completely by itself. Has a manager. I go over there once a week, high five people, take a comic I want, and then I leave. You guys need anything? Nope, we got it. Okay, see you later. So stand up little businesses along the way. And then when you hit something big, like now we're into Whatnot, I see that growth. We've been on there for just over a year. Just over a year. We've already grown into 5 different channels. We hit that $1 million mark our first year on Whatnot streaming. So that was super important to me. Now we're trying to double that our second year. So we're working on it.
Yeah, I think I had a mentor tell me that it's easier to maintain a ship than to fix a sinking ship, but all ships must rise. And that's interesting because like you add on a publishing, you have a brick and mortar, you have the Whatnot, you have your website, and it's a lot easier to just keep them than if you sort of take your eye off the ball, it will drop, and then it's much harder to fix. That's just been it's a lot of pressure to keep all these things afloat. So maybe on a lighter note, what do you do for fun? Your car's fun.
Well, I love to travel, man. I'm a big travel guy. Yeah. So I try to go to Jamaica with the wife a couple times a year, and I love visiting family, and we travel a lot inside the United States, just going somewhere. I try to make it a point to take a vacation, even if it's a mini vacation, every month.
Wow.
I force myself to unplug. Don't get me wrong, I take my laptop with me. I tell my wife, I'm always going to do at least an hour of work every day, right? At least an hour of work every day.
Interesting. Okay.
So I will, well, where are we going this week? She's in charge. She's a vacation planner. Okay. Where are we going this week? We're going to Ohio. Great. Who thinks about going to Ohio on vacation? Just find a nice hotel in a city, leave Friday, stay Friday night, Saturday, come back Sunday, just unplug. We need that, especially as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's just work, stress. We go to bed thinking about work. We wake up thinking about work. We think about work when we're driving. We think about work when we're watching TV. It never stops. So think about work in a nice location where you may think about work a little bit less,
No, that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard, because even if I'm on vacation, if I can do 1 hour of work, I can really enjoy the vacation more, just because there's so much that's reliant on you. It's nice to be able to just check in, even if you don't do anything. I do understand fully unplugging is something that's nice too. But like, if you're going on vacation 12 times a year, then you're making it a point to really take some time off. And I think the 1 hour check-in, like I'll wake up before everybody and just knock it out, because then I just feel a lot better, even though I don't know if that's good or bad, but I really do think an hour of work on vacation, there's people out there that are like, hate that, but I feel like makes your vacation
necessary
better.
Though, because honestly, bro, if you didn't talk to your team for like 3 days, that would cause more stress.
I think so. Yeah.
Way more stress. I just tell my guys, like, hey, you got me for an hour. I'm leaving. Yep. You got me for an hour today. Yep. Everything you got to ask me or anything you need to know, you better do it in this hour, because don't get me wrong, I'll check my messages here and there, but for the most part, this is all you got me for is an hour. That's it. And the wife already knows, hey, go do something fun, right? I don't do it in front of her. I go outside, walk around on the phone. Yeah. If I have to be in front of my computer, she'll go somewhere else. Yeah. She don't want to listen to me work.
That's real life, though.
It's real life.
Does she help at all with the business?
Yes, she runs payroll.
Okay.
And if I need her for stuff, I'll call her in. I got a long history with her. she's my third wife because I was in the military for 24 years. So I had my mandatory divorce issued wife. But I retired from the military and I moved to Indiana, and then was struggling a lot to get the business where it should be. I had nothing getting the business started. She believed in me, dated me. You know, I always say she took me in like a stray dog. She really helped. She quit a job she had of 15 years to help me build the business.
Wow.
When we first met her, there were a lot of administrative procedures that she put in place that we still use today. So yeah, it really helped.
So
Good woman is needed.
Do you feel like a self-made man, or are you happy?
Yes. No, I do 100%. I mean, I came from nothing. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest in a small town. My parents left me with nothing. My dad and me left me with nothing. We're not a well-off family.
Yeah.
When I retired from the military, I was $90,000 in debt.
Wow.
Horses and being taken and, you know, advantage of by ex-wives. And it was not a pretty situation. And then, you know, just, I mean, work hard. There's no secret formula. It's literally hard work. It's literally hard work, you know.
I love it.
Years I stopped. I used to love fantasy football in the NFL.
Yeah.
I gave all that up because I didn't have time to invest in running a team. I didn't have time to watch the games on Sunday because I worked all day, every day. I worked all day, every day. So I sacrificed 5 years of watching football pretty much. You know, I don't know what was happening in the NFL. No clue. I still don't know who some of these players are, you know. But it's just one of those things where, you know, would you rather have watched TV for 5 years, or would you rather have a successful business?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. So Shawn, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you or connect?
Oh man, so the best place to get a hold of me, honestly, is Facebook. I know that's you know, feels weird sending people friend requests out of the blue, but shoot me a friend request. You know, I love talking about this kind of stuff. I love giving other people advice. You know, I have a joke. Be careful. Don't ask me a question because I'll tell you an answer if you don't want to hear it. But yeah, Facebook is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Facebook Messenger. I am on Instagram. I don't check that as often. Go to comics, search for Comics Elite. That's the business. You'll see websites and contact information. There's emails on there too. My staff gives me everything. So any questions or comments, man, I'm always here to help out.
Sounds good. I'll put that in the description, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you guys next week on the podcast.